'cause I'm a fury.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Because I'm a fury, I'm back with a little bit more to tell. And in my last video, I talked about, the people who call you to the scene, the parents that are old enough to be my mother and father calling us to the scene because they have their child who is a drug addict, and it's very hard to get past the fact that it bothers me because I had drug addicts in my family, and they put my grandmother through this, or they put their own children through this, and it's neither here nor there. So these cases hit in a different way. Not that I can't handle it. It just really brings me back to a place where I'm like, oh boy. But anyway, we're gonna talk about those calls that we get, which is another thing that's regular in the field of EMS, and it's the caretaker child trying to take care of their elderly mom or dad, and their parents don't cooperate when it comes to taking their medication. They don't want to take it. It makes me feel funny, but they just are at this point where they're very stubborn. You've spent so many years as a parent, you don't know how to give up control. You don't know how to understand that your children now are looking after you and they want you to be well. A lot of them can't relinquish that mentally. They can't. Thank God for my mom. My mom is in her late 60s. She is 2.5 years away from being 70, as I am from being 45. So my mother's a retired nurse, and she's more on top of her health than a lot of people that I know at her age, which is a great thing. So when she was taking care of my late grandmother, not only was it second nature to her because she's a nurse, it's the whole mindset of powering through. And she knew how to get through to my grandmother who had dementia. But it's only so much you can do when you live here and your parent lives here, and there's no accommodation to have to bring them with you, live with them, or them live with you. So you have no choice but to put them into a place where they can have round-the-clock treatment. And a lot of people who I get calls from don't have the access to that for their parent. So they have to make home as comfortable as possible. And then they still have to work to take care of that home. So it's tough. It's very tough. A lot of people don't realize how tough it is to take care of a loved one who needs you. And you just need to still take care of yourself at the same time. We get a lot of those. We get a lot of them that's just stressed out because they parent aren't this keeps happening. They're not taking their medication, and the last resort is them calling us to get them to the hospital so they can pretty much hit them with a dose of what they need and then discharge them, and then it's going to end up being the same thing over and over and over again. It's not just the elderly looking after their drug-addicted children. It's the middle-aged person looking after their elderly parent who's stubborn. So there's many, many levels to this, many different angles and perspectives and generations. And I knew boomers were stubborn folk. I'm Generation Xer. I knew boomers point the finger all the time, but wow, it's to the point where it's like a revolving door. And a lot of people will say to me, well, it's not your insurance being charged and stuff. This is what's keeping you employed and stuff. Like, I'm like, look, I don't want to see and get another call here over again and this person has progressed worse or they have gone into cardiac arrest. People think a lot of EMTs just want to chase a lot of calls and stuff because of the thrill. I don't like playing God with people's lives. I really don't like having to save your life. I like doing what I do, but let me clarify what I'm saying. I don't prefer saving your life. I prefer that being the last resort. You get what I'm saying? Now, I don't want it to be the standard. I want people to take care of themselves, not to make my job easier, but to make the lives of their loved ones easier. You get what I'm saying? And it's like from an emotional state that I'm coming from with this. Like, you really got to understand. I like what I do for a living. I do. I don't like to see people suffer if they don't have to suffer. If they could do something about it, I don't like to see people suffer. I really don't. Unless you are a very cold-hearted individual, I still can't see you. So I'm sitting here trying to justify. No, I don't like seeing people suffer if they have options to actually do well for themselves or just take care of themselves. You know? And we have calls where there's people who do take care of themselves, but something happened or by accident they missed a dosage of their medication. They're alert orientated. Mental factors are all there or so. Or maybe some of them just slipped and then they have a loved one who can't help them get up. And I'm not talking about a real severe slip like getting out the bed and you just slide down because you got the wrong pair of socks on. You got a wood floor. You can't walk the way you used to. We have a lot of calls like that. Those I'm fine with those as long as there's no physical trauma. All these things we can help them with. That's fine. That's fine. We could just go on, help them. We don't even have to do a chart. We could be like, okay, we helped you up. Anything else you need? Is there any pain, anything you feel? We're here right now. We check you out. We can take you to the hospital if you need. And a lot of them be like, no, that's all it is. I'm not hurt. Seriously, I was like, if anything changes, if you feel pain, please call 911 again, We always have to recommend that they go or so, but we can't force anybody to go. But then there's situations where there's people who aren't, they mental status is altered. They couldn't even tell you where they were. And that's back to the whole thing with PCP. You could be talking to me, but you talking about the baseball game from the World Series in 1966, and we're in 2020, going into 2021, and I'm like, oh, no, we can't. I'm fine. I don't want to go to the hospital. I don't want to go and stuff. I'm fine. I was like, what's today's date? I don't even know what today's date is, so you can't really ask them that because a lot of people sometimes, I was like, what year is it? 2012. You're going to the hospital. Plain and simple. You're going to the hospital. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And then some of them get combative, and we sometimes have to call our shift supervisor there to de-escalate the situation. And I'm not shift supervisor, our tour chiefs. And our tour chiefs are all paramedics as well. So They've been through it. So there's many angles to this thing. It ain't just what I was talking about yesterday with the parents dealing with their degenerate drug addict children, and not call it degeneration because the calls that we get are from those who have burned the bridges. They burned the rope at both ends. They really have, and they still have somebody that cares for them, that loves them, and they don't know how to get their priorities right, or they don't want to get clean. You more mad about your hobby and ruined. You know what Narcan is because you've been doused with it numerous times, but you don't give a damn about your mom or your dad's tears, or them trying, them not wanting to see their child die. She's living in a building for elderly people and retired people. She should be relaxing as she ages, and she's worried about you. But anyway, y'all, because I'm a fury, I'm here, and now I'm out. Peace.